Awesome. Well, good morning, team, to our Momentum Monday. I am excited for today for many reasons. Number one, at Dream Trips, we get to fall in love with Monday. And I think that's super important because a lot of people in the world, they have the Sunday scares because they are dreading their Monday morning. But here in Dream Trips, for us to be able to come together to launch on a note that takes us out of our rhythm, takes us out of our routine, and puts us in a place as the powerful creators that we are, as leaders, but also just as our innate gifts and talents to be human beings and live the powerful lives that we are living. And choosing to show up today is really powerful. So first of all, I want you to just kind of lean into yourself on that one and give yourself a little like, ooh, go me. I made an interesting choice that's different than the norm. Because here at Dream Trips, we are not normal. We are living extraordinary lives. And that brings me to our guest speaker. You're not a speaker. She's my mom, Reagan Hubbard. And she is pretty incredible, you guys. And mom, a lot of people on this line know you, but a lot of them don't. So I would love for you to kind of share your background in this industry, because you guys, she is a powerhouse. She has been in this industry. She actually, over 30 years ago, she is the reason our family started and joined this industry. She is the reason Kenny is now family for us for over 35 years. And she is truly a leader, not only in this industry, not only for our family, but for so many people who are choosing to awaken to the truth of who they are. And that's really, I mean, if we want to go deeper today, which I hope you all do, we can lean into something more profound than that. But before we go there, Gij, I'd love for you to just share your background and give everyone a little history lesson on what brings us here today.
Well, thank you, Jordan. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Well, yeah, what brought us here today was I had an experience. And what I love about Dream Trips is that's all what it's about, really, is the experience of understanding that life isn't a dress rehearsal. And a lot of people put off everything that they would love to do. And Dream Trips allows you to build a business and move forward with your dream at the same time. And actually, to be honest, in 1997, we were living the dream. Our life was complete. I had three beautiful children. Jordan, you were, I think, a sophomore in high school. Your brother was a junior. Hayden was getting ready to go into high school. And we had a lot of love, a lot of fun traveling already. We were traveling already. Remember our big trip to, in fact, our first company we joined is no longer in existence, but it was amazing. And I didn't join because of relationship marketing. In fact, if you guys ever, I don't know, Ginger, if you've ever experienced this, it's the reason I wouldn't want to do something. And I was one of those, right? Only because I didn't know exactly what it was. And here's the thing, the beauty of this industry, it's usually a friend who tells you about it. And I trusted that relationship, along with her lending me an entire sleep system of magnets. And at the time, I had issues that I was not talking about. Just know a lot of people that you are looking at for Dream Trips, they have things going on in their lives that you're not aware of. And my friend didn't know that I had a lot of situations going on and no sleep, stress. I was going through Naduri-Prod allergy elimination techniques and all these things. But sleep was something that was very difficult for me. And she didn't know that. But again, you guys, another thing with this industry, there are invisible forces that you need to get really excited about. And she lent me this sleep system. And before I could sleep on it, Jordan, I don't know if you remember, you walked into my room and exhausted from basketball and laid down on the sleep system and didn't know what it was, but you fell asleep. And so I started using this, and that was my intro. It's like a friend showed it to me. I loved it. And I'm just the kind of person, if I have an experience, I want to share it. And that's how we got into this industry. And that's how we met Kenny Rossi. Is Kenny on?
Yep.
Kenny, where are you?
GG.
Hi, honey.
I love you.
So what year was it? What year did you join? I think you joined a couple years later, didn't you?
Yeah, I joined in 89 is when I got into the industry.
No, 90,
Sorry. What am I
99.
saying?
Yeah, 90.
99. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
99.
So this little whippersnapper, you guys, he actually came in 2 years after me, and all of a sudden he's like the top of the top of the top. And because he just is just so focused, right? And it was amazing. And I'm forever so grateful. You are my son from another
Yeah,
mother.
I was wondering when you said I had three kids and I was waiting for you to end it and go, and Kenny was.
I know. Well, you are. You really are. And I was actually, I have an envious streak. We all do. And I thought, who's this little shit? He's so good. And truly, and then things happened, right, you guys? I don't know if any of you have ever been in other companies, but there's beautiful Elizabeth, who's just adorable. But that company actually decided to fold, and Kenny, we went with Kenny to another company. See, it's all about relationships, you guys. And you don't know where it's going to take you. And that's
Wait, I pause you.
Go ahead.
Because here's the deal. And this is, you guys, I hope you are seeing the intricacies of just her sharing a story and the story behind the story. Because we didn't just go with Kenny to another company. And I want you to be real, Mom. I want you to tell them how many times you said hell no to Kenny, and the process of even loving someone you said no to before you guys made that choice.
Well, actually, he didn't even call me. He was calling your dad because he knew what I'd say, because I'm kind of sassy like that. And finally he's literally 5 times. And then Glenn meekly came out and said, Kenny said, and so to fly up and look at this company. I said, great, I'd be happy to go, but he's paying for the trip. And Kenny agreed to that. And that's how I was very clear that I would look, but I was no longer going to, I wanted it fronted. And if we liked it, if we joined, I would reimburse. I think that's how it went, Kenny. And I'm telling you, you guys, we got on the airplane really not happy, but what the hell. And I don't know if any of you know Al Kiernan. He's with us in this company now. He's a legend in this industry, wow. An incredible, his wife, Jan, has become a dear friend of mine. And I don't know what's that I'm looking at, Jordy.
You're good. I'm just muting people out.
Oh, so anyhow, we flew up there and we walked into Al Kiernan's living room there, and Kenny was so brilliant, you guys. He didn't just take Glenn and I, he took like his top 8 people, and they paid for their own trip. And we're in Al's living room and I'm listening. And I want you to know, if it was not Al Kiernan, I probably wouldn't have gone. If Al, you're listening to this on replay. But because it was Al, and I knew he had gotten to the top of his other company and showed us a check one time for 1 month for $400,000, I just thought, okay, if he's doing this, this has got to be amazing. And they gifted us again with a little drink. We drank it, and I had been up since 4 a.m. Again, this was the beginning of my issues with, aging, kind of. I was in my 50s at the time, and I had this like swoosh of clarity, like windshield wipers, the brain fog, if any of you are experiencing that. And I turned to Glenn, I said, what the F is in this? And Kenny was very smart. It wasn't a one-time thing to fly up there. We spent 3 days going to headquarters, meeting the chief science officer, meeting the top leaders in the company, just like you guys are doing on these calls, meeting the people, knowing who our team was. That was very important. And then together, at the end of the 3 days, we went to, what was the name of that building? It was
Columbia Tower.
Columbia Towers at the top. And we locked arms and we all committed together. So Jordy and I are in one of our lovely paths we are taking is really looking at the creation process, looking how we bring things into form. And the first thing is to declare and to claim and to choose your end result on what you want to do. And we did that day. And Kenny was going to go diamond in the first month. That was 100,000 points. In order for him to do so, Glenn and I and another couple chose to go platinum, and then a few people chose to go gold. So those were 30,000 points and 10 points. At any rate, we had 4 weeks to get that done. And we did. what's it to say? Once you make a declaration, we followed it up by exposures. You know, we invited all over different areas. Had we just moved to Reno, or we were just
It wasn't like you guys brought a group of people. You know, many
No.
people think in this industry, oh, you know, they must just know people. My parents had
No.
just moved to a new state. They knew no one, and they made this big decision that they were going to bring people to Kenny and have an event without, like, they made a very big decision to do something that made zero sense in the logical world. And I want to highlight that, you guys, because anytime you make a big goal and a big decision, which my mom and I call an end result, which is different than a goal, we'll go into that, you have to get excited about the unknown. Because if it's known, you'd already have done it. It's not exciting. And so, Mom, I'd love for you to take.
Well, I actually, Jody, on the plane on flying back to Reno, Jordan is correct. We had just, that's what it was. After 28 years of raising our kids in California, we moved to tax advantage Nevada and Reno. We were building a beautiful dream home. And I looked at Glenn and I said, we can't do this. There's no effing way we can do this. And so Al called, we called Al and he goes, you know, just give it all, give it your all. And I grew up, I trained for the 68 Olympics in swimming. So I knew what that meant. And I knew what Jordan just said. I had to step in the known. I could not unknown. I couldn't do it from my limited constraints of how the hell are we going to get this done? And when you do that, the universe, the world, whatever you want to call it, moves with you and sets up all kinds of situations, coincidences, circumstances, people, you know, we were building our home, but it was on a golf course with a club, and we were invited to a dinner. And our first part, we just happened to sit down next to a couple, and I'm not a prospector. I'm not a network marketer. I just love people and I love relationships. And we just started talking. And the best thing you can do, you guys, is ask questions, find out without trying to manipulate. And then they'll eventually, if they're going to join, they're going to ask you, well, what do you do? Right? And you listen now to what is going on in their lives. And then you tell them what you do and let them take it from there. And we did that. And we went and joined, went to restaurants we didn't even know that had rooms, and we just invited like the contractors and bring your friends and that kind of a thing. We went back to California and did a big event down there at our tennis club we belonged to there. So we just did everything. And in the end, we got it done. And I think what's clear for me, Jordy, therefore, what you and I are bringing forward with our work is the number one thing is that declaration. And it's choosing and not giving your way out. It doesn't mean it might not happen in that 1 month. That wasn't it. But you would go to the 12th, the hour, the minute before midnight, whatever it was. And you would do the best you could do. And yeah.
And I paint this picture, you guys, and now bring us back to present and kind of take us onto the journey, because what Kenny, my parents, myself, what we did in the first 90 days of that company, paid us residually, made us millions for 15 years until the owner of that company chose a different form of distribution through Amazon. And we were put in a position, in a great way, not in a victim way, where we had to choose, we had to pivot. And what happened over the last 5 years is my mom and dad chose not to pivot with us. There wasn't the companies that we were with prior to Dream Trips, there was not a pull, a call, a desire for them to choose to be a part of it. In fact, other things had happened. And so it comes to today where this is the first time since that run that we had all been on, that company that we are with, that my parents are choosing to lean forward and to be into Dream Trips. And there's a significant reason for that. And Mom, I'd love for you to kind of build what you see about Dream Trips for everyone, and then take us into how to, I know you say you're not a prospector, but you're one of the best damn recruiters I've ever seen in this industry. And it's that showing up, paying attention, telling the truth, and detaching from the outcome. And I'd love for you to kind of take people through why Dream Trips, that process, and go from there.
Well, we all evolve. I mean, if you're not, we talked about this the other day, Jordy, about transitions. You know, they don't have to suck. If you're not open to life being one big transition, if you're not open to change is the only thing that exists and you gracefully can't move with it, and listen to yourself inside. And yes, we took a hiatus because I was transforming from trying to solve someone's problem with a product to I just want to live a fucking great life. Oh my God, excuse my language. But I just want to live a really great life and I want to have fun. We're here. We are born into this world already complete, already abundant, already free. Now I want to start only aligning myself with either companies or people that are living that. And when you brought to us through Kenny this travel business, I just thought that's it. People, and we've added the word transform because everything's about transformation for me in this stage of my life. It's just all about awakening deeper and deeper into the truth of what we're here for. And that is to be present. And that is to live in the presence. And that is to be of joy and happiness. And what do you do when you travel? You know, you're in awe and you're just in loving exactly where you're at. You're realizing life is not a dress rehearsal. You know, people want that, whether they know it or not, they want that. And the way dream trips, I'm blown away how easy they make it. And yeah.
Yeah. And something happens to people, you know, I want to, and I know you don't need to go into this, but the quantum neuroscience of what travel does for a person. When we get out of our routine, the neuroreceptors in our brain, you kind of highlighted that a little bit, but I want you to speak to that with everyone. And then, you know, it's one thing to know this, and then it's quite another to have knowing and let go of it. And without needing to convince other people. And you are such a master of that. So I'd love for you to share that with others.
Well, you know, it exists, and what travel does, it takes you out of your limited way of looking at life. You know, we mostly are living from a place, then I will be. We are mostly living from a place of if only. And what travel does, it makes you're already there. You're already in your end result. And we have to understand that the future, because most of our way of creating life is future based, right? And we are only creating our future by participating in the present with a certain consciousness. And that consciousness is that it's already done. That consciousness, again, is that we are free. We are joy. And what travel does, it really brings on a whole different, like you said, Jory, the neurotransmitters of your brain. But to be very honest, that's something that you're going to come home from and go back to your routine. And you won't be able to do that as easily. So that's why I love transformation, because I love rocking people's boats, you know, in terms of, okay, I want to elevate my life when I'm home now. And that's why the business is so great, because you're looking for people that also want to do that.
And so this isn't a matter of escapism. And I want you to highlight this a little bit more, because you say, I will be happy when. So something happens to all of us, especially when we see, sorry, I'm going to mute someone out. When we see, ooh, Dream Trips is exciting. Ooh, there's a business. Ooh, if I hit 1K, ooh, if I get my 4 and pay no more, then I will feel whole. Then I will be happy. Then I will be complete. If I set this goal for 5K, 10K, I'm gonna fight like heck. I'm gonna give the exposures. I'm gonna do all of this. But a lot of us, and I'll speak for myself, are doing that from a compensatory manner of I will feel worthy then, or we're in a state of lack when we're making the declaration, meaning I don't really believe it. But if I affirm it, and high vibe it 50 million times a day, I maybe will get there. But my current state, what I'm feeling is, oh, that's Kenny can do that. Oh, of course, Jefferson can do that. They're amazing, but I can't do that. So talk to people about that unconscious resistance and that state of choosing as we're going for a goal, or maybe even explaining the difference between a goal and an end result.
Well, what I'd love to do is just talk about the victim broken structure or the sovereign structure, and then go into maybe 5 steps. I don't know how deep you want to go here,
Go for it.
but what you just described was both. It's like when we're in, and that word victim, it's just a word, but it's very, we have both, and it's where we put our attention. And the problem structure, the victim structure, is I put my attention in my current reality and I don't know how it's going to happen, and I don't know, then I will be, but I'm going to go for it because then I will be, successful, or then I'll be happy, or whatever. But the sovereign structure starts with, no, nothing will complete me, nothing outside of me. I am causal. So I must find this way to understand that who I am is joy, is freedom, is abundance. Nothing outside of me is going to give me that. So now you're doing dream trips because it's just fun, and it's just, you're alive and you get to travel for your business. And so it's very important to understand you start here in a current reality. I'm sitting here in my room. I have a end result, what you mentioned, where I want to go. And how consciousness works, you guys. If we're not conscious of something, if we don't declare it, if we don't choose it, it doesn't exist. And we're talking about this infinite field of all possibilities. Everything exists already in frequency and vibration. That's all it is. It is our consciousness that chooses to be, what's the highest level in dream trips, Jordy? Or
It's 5 million, baby.
Yeah. I choose to be a 5 million, whatever. I choose to be a 10, whatever. And that's something that you hold, that it's already done. You are not responsible for getting it done. What you are responsible for is staying in the position that it is done. And so you start moving towards calling people, building your business, and 3 out of 5 say no. That's called resistance. And what Jordy and I want to talk about is resistance is inevitable. Resistance is showing you that you are stepping out of your comfort zone, because you have an aspect of your consciousness. I don't want to go too crazy here, but it's designed to keep you safe. It's your subconscious. It's your unconscious. It's in charge of all your autonomic systems in your body. And so it says, hey, we haven't survived success. So maybe this just isn't for us, And in spite of that, as a sovereign, not a victim, you choose it. No, babe, we're good. We're really good. This is something new. It's going to be exciting. And I know that this infinite field is going to collapse it and start bringing it into form. And so that's an aspect of your consciousness too. It's called the superconscious. So that's what we're bringing forward, a lot of work in this, because, gone are the days where we cross our fingers. And this business is really about exposures, talking to people. But if you're talking to them from a place of wanting to get something from them, if you're talking to them from a place of they have a problem, you're here to fix it, it's just an energy that will definitely self-sabotage at some point. So you have to know that you're already complete. You have to know that it's already done. And you have to enjoy yourself. And you have to look people in the eye and just be so excited and listen. This is a business of listening where people are going to tell you what they need, and how you are the one that's going to provide if they should choose the opportunity. We don't pull people along in this business. So, Jordy, I don't know if you want to take it from there. I'm kind of mesmerized by this gentleman that's on the screen.
Awesome. And the thing of it too, Mom, and I'd love for you to hit on this, is when you are detached from the outcome, you just said it so beautifully. You don't need anyone for anything. And there's this, Ginger, you put this beautiful thing up about exposures. But if we need someone to say yes, or we feel like, oh God, I don't want to be rejected, because we're putting our worthiness in someone else's care, we're not going to want to pick up that phone and do 10 play 2 a day. And so I think it's really important as we wrap up here to give people that position to stay in, of peace and power, and to always step into that position before you pick up the phone, to remind yourself the awareness of you are already whole, you are already worthy, you are already complete. And to do that as a practice 50 freaking times a day, more so, and yes, I'm going to say this, more so than affirmations of I'm a 10K, I'm an Atlas 5 million. You guys, all of that is outside extraordinary, but it will become your ordinary if you stay in this position. And so, Mom, I'd love for you to just talk about that, and then anything else you want to bring forward as we're planning our next dream trips as a family, and what you see the future for this legacy, because that's important to you too.
Yeah, it's, we do. It's showing up. And what does that mean? It's showing up in a place where you're coherent. And what does that mean? That you are aware of the beauty of who you are and you feel that. So now you're able to offer someone your presence, right? So you show up, you tell the truth, you just share the truth of the beauty of dream trips. And the whole time you're detached from the outcome. You're present and you're detached from the outcome. And it does help. I'm not a big fan of affirmations unless they come from a place of that you are choosing to know that they are not, the affirmation is not the thing that actually will catapult you to your presence. It's your presence that says, and I do this every day. I do the core 4 for being out in what I call the 3D world. And I do the core 4 for that's in me. So the core 4, and when you orientate yourself to a higher ideal, dream trips fits in it. So and I always say I choose. You got to say you choose it. Okay. You choose it. You don't want it. I choose to live the life I love. Now, does that incorporate this thing called dream trips? But more importantly, I choose to live loving the life I am living, because you can't want your life to be any different than it is. That will create resistance. You have preferences, you have dreams, you have desires, but your life right now, you've got to just embody it to the fullest of who you are. You look at Jordan, you look at Kenny Rossi, they don't want to be anybody else than who they are. That doesn't mean that they don't want to continue to learn and grow, but right here, right now, they are solid. I choose health and vitality. That's what happens when you travel. I had to kind of laugh what Ginger was saying about breakfast and dinner. It's really true. We don't need 3 meals, health and vitality, right? And the ones that are about in me, I choose to live a life in the position of peace, which is my power. Okay. Because it brings me to my presence. Peace is really the new high vibe, you guys. And peace is really, I'm not arguing with what is. I'm not arguing and getting disappointed and wasting 3 hours after someone says no to me. When I've just put so much time into them. It's like, hey, you bless them and let them go. And the victim in us will want to really hone in on all the wrongs that were done, because that's an excuse to stay in the victim triangle. And what we do as a sovereign is we hang up that phone and we reset our position in our sovereignty. Nothing outside of me can complete me. And we make the phone call from that position. Do not make the next phone call or the next meeting from a position of, damn, you need to join me, So anyhow.
It's so good. And it's so true, you guys. And these are, we're not talking about doing an hour-long meditation, right? We're not talking about a shaming ourselves into submission of who you truly are. We're talking about a 10-second reframe, a 10-second awareness that literally moment to moment you come back to it, and it will won't even transform your life. I know we love that word. It will be a remembrance.
Well, Jordy, what did we say yesterday? We just came up with this thing like attention is your currency.
Yeah.
What are you spending it on? Where are you placing your attention? On the ones who are saying no to you, or the ones that are stepping forward? Where are you putting your attention? On the problems you have in your life, or on your end results, what you want to create? Because the field will move with you. The one thing with structure, you guys, it has integrity. If you're in a problem-solving structure, it cannot create anything for you other than more problems for you to solve, because structure has integrity. and this infinite field of all possibilities, it just says, yes, your wish is my command. You want to focus on that problem. I guess I'm supposed to give you more problems so you can focus on them. Whereas an end result, it sets up a magnetic pole towards all kinds of coincidences and circumstances, situations, and conditions that will build up your momentum of your business.
Love it. I love it. And Ginger, yes, attention is your currency, you guys. And this is something that I learned through my children. And this is so important. Attention is your currency, and it's freaking expensive.
Yeah.
Like, it's expensive. It is no longer a luxury to give your attention to things that no longer serve you. And so when we think of it that way, it's just such an aha moment of, okay, where am I putting you can question everything that you are doing in a beautiful way without judgment. And this takes us into again, that powerful position of being the predominant creative force in your life. So with that, Mom, this is not the end. It's 9:35. This is just the intro to Reagan Hubbard. And really, if you want to take a minute, Mom, and just the legacy that you're excited about with Dream Trips, what you and I are building. We're going and doing live events. We did one together in Reno with Rita Eisman's team. We'll be doing more here in the local area. So kind of what you see this legacy and giving people kind of a Gigi perspective on bridging dream trips in life.
Well, again, you and I have talked about travel and transform, and people who want to travel, they want to live a full live life. So I would love to be creating dream trips that are of that nature. And also understanding that even just traveling as a family, I mean, I'm just so excited. You know, we've only done one because right now with Jordan and Nate's situation with the kids, it's really important that she travels and we're supporting that. But we know what's coming down the pike, and it was just so much fun. If any of you, are they going to do a Disneyland trip in September or October, Jordan?
There is a wait list for Disneyland, or an interest list for Disneyland in September. So that was our first dream trip, and we were going. We are definitely on the wish list to go to that trip as well. But we'll see what we launch with.
Yeah, it was quite amazing because I was new to it at the time. Jordan had been doing dream trips for a while, and I got to be very honest with you. I'm an introvert. I really would not, if someone came to me, I'd go, oh, no, I don't. Oh my gosh, it was so different than what I thought it was. What truly was, like traveling with strangers was just like, oh, I don't think I want to do that. And it was so beautiful and so touching, and people are just everybody's the same. We all just want to love, and we want to give, and we want to explore, and we want to experience our freedom and our boldness. We do. And there was no just total respect and boundaries. And that's what my thing was. I'm a big boundary person in a good way. We need to have boundaries.
Awesome, you guys. Hey, so listen, Mom, I have this recorded. I'm going to get it to everyone in our Telegram chat. If you are not in my Telegram, I want to put it here in the chat. But I'm also going to give it to maybe Kingpin Jefferson. I can get it to you for anyone that's not in our group to be a part of that, because that's where I post all of our recordings for this. We'll be back on Monday, maybe even going deeper. But the main thing that we look at right now, you guys, we learned this from Gigi, is our power comes from our position and detaching from the outcome. And so our next event, our next live, where we can create these exposures for people to make an informed decision for their life, where you can detach from the outcome, is at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern tonight. And so I encourage everyone. I don't challenge everyone, because this shouldn't be a challenge. This should be a joy into the next step of who you are being. And we can go into maybe next week our states of being, because they make a difference and they matter. And so with that, you guys, take the oxygen today get that position, invite with that authority, with that sovereignty tonight. And it's going to be a powerful evening. I'm doing the live tonight. On Thursday, we've got Jefferson going live, same time, same channel, dreamtripslive.com. And yes, exposures matter, but the 10 seconds matter more before you pick up the phone or send the text. And so bring your consciousness, bring your awareness to that moment right before you hit send. Get in check with what you're feeling, where you're coming from. Are you sending this with resistance, or are you totally detached? And as you do that more and more, and as you become more and more conscious of it, it becomes your nature, because it is your true nature and purpose, you guys. So with that, we love you all. Happy Monday. This is where momentum is created, not given. And we can't wait to see you guys tonight on the live. Again, if you're not in our Telegram chat, I'll have it blasted out so you can get this recording. I know, Tisa, you were asking for it. We love you all, and we will see you tonight on dreamtripslive.com. Thanks, Mom.
Thank you.